So when we're just putting the embed onto our breadboard, always a good idea, get the breadboard, make sure the letters are the right ways up, and you can see some of the numbers along the side, because that can be useful just to count some of the pins from the embed. Okay, so we've got the embed here. What we'll do is we'll put it up towards the top of the breadboard so that we're counting down the ways. Useful to remind yourself to keep the USB pointing out over the edge so that we can connect the USB handy enough in. And then just be careful with the legs of the embed. So you can see sometimes if you pull them out too quickly there on the end, the legs can bend and break. So just be careful when you're putting them on to squeeze them in nicely and gently, and not to put too much pressure on to bend the legs. So you'll see there, you just try and line it up. You see the way one of them is sticking out. So just be careful when you're putting it in. Maybe put that side down first. Check that they're all due to go in nice and neatly, that the leg's not going to snap, because that will render it pretty useless pretty soon. Okay, so be careful with that. Once you put your breadboard in once you put the embed into the breadboard, you should be able to keep it there. You shouldn't have to move it from it at any stage, really. That should be it set up for all your tasks. If you do though, take it out with a pen, try not to pull it, just ease it out, pry it out from one side and pry it out from the other side. Maybe use the bridge of the breadboard to get it out, because again, if you try and take it out too quickly or jam it out or pressurize it out in any way, you can run into difficulties with breaking the legs. Okay, so you'll see I've got that embed in. It should go in nice and neatly, the microcontroller, once all the pins are lined up. You see we've got access here on one side to all the pins, and then line up nice and neatly. You can see there pin 5 is going to be right beside pin 5, so I can count it out nice and easily and very usefully. Yeah, and then obviously make sure it's just centered. Sometimes you might forget, and if you put it over on this edge, you're not going to be able to connect into any of the pins. Then we'll be going through all the different pins along the breadboard in detail, but something that we'll always usually do is we'll get a little piece of black and a little piece of red wire just to signify the power rails coming out. So we're usually using the V out, which is 3.3 voltage out from the breadboard at the very top there, and then the ground is the other side. Okay, so a little bit hard to do this while holding the camera, but we'll bring that in. We'll try and keep it color coded in the sense that you see the negative rail from the blue side, and then we'll keep that lined up for the positive side. Sorry about the shaky camera. But that would be the breadboard set up nice and neatly, and usually that's the way we'll kind of go about it. And you don't really have to change too much more from that. Once that's set up, there should be no reason to take the breadboard or the embed off the breadboard, or to take them little wires out. They can sit there nicely, so you can get ground all along here, and then power all along this side. Well, 3.3 volts anyway. Okay, so just to show the process then of downloading some code into the embed, and to see what way it looks on the hardware side, to see that things are functioning properly. So at the moment there's no code in this embed, so when I turn it on, it shouldn't run anything. You'll see, okay, you'll hear it connecting there to the computer. You see the LED, the main LED for the breadboard is on, for the embed is on, letting us know that the processor is functioning. But we've no code in it, so nothing's happening anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to download a file into the embed at the moment, just so you can see what happens. So as I copy and paste this in, you'll see the LED flashes, the main LED flashes. So that lets us know there's some code in or downloaded into the processor, but it won't run until I reset the CPU. Okay, reset the processor, and then you'll see now the code is working. That was our first task of just flashing this bottom LED. So that's how you know. This is the main sort of light, the blue light that tells us that everything's functioning. You'll see that flash when you download code into it, but it's just, remember, you have to reset it. It's like a power on cycle there, so that the new code kicks in.